everybody, and welcome back to Aamsuntitledpodcast. I'm Am. Hi, if you've never met me before, it's really nice to meet you. Welcome to my Percy Jackson dedicated podcast. I just wanted to start by saying I'm so sorry there wasn't an upload last week. I had a family funeral, and if you follow me on Threads, I did post it on there, although I did forget to put a note up on my Instagram as well, so I'm so sorry about that. Um, I'm feeling a lot better now. It was the initial shock, and I wasn't really feeling very well in general anyway. I had quite a bad flu as well. So yeah, the timing wasn't great, but I am feeling a bit better and well enough to record the episode. So I can't wait to come back to this. I've literally been itching all week to come back to the podcast because I love doing this. It is a passion project for me. And talking about Percy Jackson is probably one of my favorite things ever. So it's been hard to miss out for a week, but I'm finally back and we are going to be talking through chapters 29 to 35 in the Lost Hero book. Pre warning, this episode contains major spoilers from the book, so listen in at your own discretion. But apart from that, let's get on with it. Okay, so chapter 29 is Leo's point of view, and the chapter opens up with them riding on Festus, and Leo is worrying about how easily he was manipulated. If you didn't know, he had a little bit of a thing for Keone. That kind of attraction sort of got them into a lot of trouble. So I think he's just kind of beating himself up about it, which I totally understand. Like, he made a mistake, and that's fine. But I think in this world, he feels like he's kind of let his friends down a little bit because he let his guard down, and that's not necessarily his fault. Everybody makes mistakes. But again, it's that whole thing that Rick is trying to teach us, that it is okay to get distracted at times from a goal. And it's very easy when you are attracted to somebody to get distracted. So I think it's just this whole thing that Rick is trying to teach us, that, never let your guard down because you can be put in a dangerous situation at any time. And I think that is exactly what Leo has learned from the last chapter. Um, Leo sort of questions Piper about her dad, but she changes the subject. It is still quite a sensitive matter for her, especially now that she knows that he's in danger. I think she feels like if she tells anybody, she's not only putting her dad in danger, she's putting her friends in danger as well, which is what she doesn't want. And I totally understand that, but at the same time, I kept feeling like Piper needed someone to talk to, um just to share these worries and concerns, because I feel like she's carrying the weight on her own shoulders, and that's not really doing her any benefit at this point. But yeah, we'll talk more about her slowly easing into telling the boys soon enough. Jason takes control of Festus so that Leo can sleep, and in his dream he meets Hephaestus, who tells him that he's been watching over him. Now, Hephaestus is one of those godly parents where I don't think he's the worst at ignoring his children. And Hephaestus knows how special Leo is. He's one of his only children that have the fire ability. So I'm starting to feel like he shares a certain connection with Leo on a deeper level because of that. Like, he knows how special Leo is, and that's why he always tries to keep him close. Hephaestus sort of tells Leo about Zeus's orders, that he's not supposed to be in contact with any of his children. Zeus has shut Olympus down. Like, they are not in contact with their children at all. But Hephaestus has defied that order. This is because Zeus thinks that the world will go quiet if the gods don't interfere in the war. Now, first of all, what an idiot. What actual idiot. You are basically leaving the world open to being attacked because you're not willing to step in and fight alongside your demigod children. What? Cutting them off completely with no explanation? That is such a Zeus thing to do, but also such an incredibly stupid thing to do. I remember reading that and being like, is he actually being serious? Like, does he actually think that that is going to solve the problem? Like, there won't be a war if the gods don't interfere. I'm sorry, but what world does this man live in? Because that's not physically possible. Like, even I can tell you guys that that's not possible. That is not going to stop a fight from breaking out. The fight is going to happen regardless of whether the gods are directly involved or not. So at that point, they might as well just be involved, is what I'm trying to say. The chapter ends with Hephaestus telling Leo that he has a big role to play in the war to come. Um, yeah, remember that line. You see, Rick does these things, and I've talked about this so many times, where he drops very, very subtle hints that don't make sense to begin with, but as you go on in the series, you pick these things up and you're like, oh my God, yeah, he's already told us this. He's already told us that Leo has a massive part to play in this war. It just depends on when this war is going to happen. And it's one of those things where Rick gives you enough to get you excited, but he doesn't give you everything. And that's what I love about his writing style. He knows that the audience wants to know more, but he entices them in such a way where they just want to keep reading. And that's what I love about him so much. And the chapter ends with Leo waking up and hearing Jason and Piper screaming. Okay, so chapter 30 is again Leo's point of view, and the chapter opens up with them falling through the sky. Leo tells Jason to take Piper. Basically, Jason can fly to save Piper so that Leo can reboot Festus. Jason does as he says, pretty much, but Festus is still flying to the ground and they hit something, and Leo eventually blacks out. Now, to me, when I read that bit, I was like, it's like, oh no! I was like, Rick did not just kill Leo. I was like, please not Leo. I was like, I love him so much. Like, I didn't want anything bad to happen to him. So there was a moment of panic, let's say. But don't worry, I quickly got over that. Piper and Jason are standing over him when he wakes up, and Leo realizes that Festus has disintegrated. Um, Festus speaks to him for the last time in Morse code and dies. Oh my God, I felt so bad. Like honestly, I think I was crying because I was just like, no, not Leo. Like I feel like you know what it was? It was because I know how much Leo has gone through already, and like Festus is kind of his like I know he has Jason and Piper, but Festus is kind of like his best friend and like his companion. And like the fact that he wasn't there anymore to support Leo, like I already knew that he was gonna take it really badly. And I was like, my poor Leo. I was like, he didn't need that. Like there was no need for Rick to do that. And yes, I think I was crying, guys. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm pretty confident I was crying by this point. Yeah, it was just really sad, and I just didn't feel like Rick needed to break my heart any more than he already did. But yeah, Jason finds out about Leo's dream and the fact that he spoke to his dad, and Leo prays to Hephaestus to take Festus to the bunker so that he can reuse him. Now, this is also like a really big thing. Like, I don't think up until this point there's been a moment where Leo's genuinely prayed to his dad for help, but like it was just so sad to see because he was stuck in such a situation where he knows that there's nothing he can physically do for Festus by himself. Like he will need his dad's help to be able to bring the dragon to his bunker so that he can fix him. And yeah, it was just a really really sad moment, and I was just yeah, I was probably a bit of a mess. I can't lie to you. um, the chapter ends with Piper telling them that they are in a mansion in Omaha, Nebraska, and that Festus died protecting them. And obviously, the only thing that they can do now is to honor that sacrifice and go inside and see what's going on. Definitely not a good idea, can I just say? But okay. Um, Chapter 31 is Jason's point of view, and the chapter opens up with Leo deactivating all the security in the mansion, and he says that the door is actually unlocked. So you get again, it's always this idea that something sus is going on. Like it's just things just are way too easy, and in situations like that you know when things are easy that things are very easily going to go horribly wrong as well. And I think that's this idea that Rick is trying to build, that there's always this tension in these books, and like you'll notice it as we read Heroes of Olympus together. Like it's always very tense. Like with the first 5 books there were moments of relief, whereas in these books it's quite serious all the time. So yeah, it really just shows how much the books have grown with the audience as well, and I do love them for that. Like I'm glad that Rick leveled it up in such a way where you could have a new audience to this and take the people that are already like me, older readers. I hate calling myself that, but it is true. And keep them just as enticed as the newer readers, which I love. um, Piper says not to take Leo too seriously, because obviously he's really upset. Like he has just lost a friend, and it's this whole idea that he's trying to carry this brave face. He doesn't want to show any signs of weakness, and I think that's quite a man thing to do. And what I love so much about Rick's writing is he tries to encourage people particularly men, to talk about their mental health because it is such a big thing. And Jason wants to know if Piper's dad is in trouble. Like, obviously they all have secrets of their own that they're all keeping from each other, and in time, like as this book progresses, they all come out, but Rick reveals them at the right times. Like, he never just shoves something in there for no reason. Like, there's always a reason why a secret will come out, which I also love. um when they enter the mansion, it is dark and they realize that Leo's fire powers are not working again. This whole idea that he's grieving, and he's grieving so badly for the loss of a friend that even his powers won't work. Like, that's how much he's suffering and how much he is in pain, and he can't air that out to anyone, which I just think is so. It just, you know what? It just absolutely crushed my heart because Leo is just like the happiest character, and anytime something happens to him, I genuinely get really upset. So yeah, this whole part of reading the book was so hard for me. But again, there is something that everybody learns from pain, and we'll talk a bit more about that a little bit later on. Jason suggests that they should camp in the room with the cages that are holding Coach Hedge and the Storm Spirits. In other words, to just keep an eye on both of them, which I think is a great idea. Like, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. It's just, I don't think that they're going to be able to rest with everything that's happened, particularly Leo. Like, I can see that he's not taking Festus's death well. Um, so you just know that there's going to have to be some sort of supportive trio moment at some point. um, Jason apologizes to Leo about the horrible things that he said to him, maybe when they were fighting and things like that. And I think that just that is important, that, like, friends make mistakes too. And, like, sometimes they don't mean it, but people say things in anger that they don't mean. And I think it takes a really big thing to apologize to someone for doing something wrong and accepting that you're wrong. And that's what I love about Rick's writing. Like, even though he's telling this story based in a fantasy universe, like, there are always these moral lessons that you can learn and apply to real life, and that's what I love so much about his writing. I think he is just an absolute genius. Leo tells Jason to go to sleep, but eventually he wakes up absolutely screaming. And Leo tells him that Coach Hedge is awake and he is really confused about what's happened. So, in other words, if you can't remember what happened to Coach Hedge, he sort of got kidnapped by a bunch of storm spirits. Um, or was it wind spirits? I can't remember, one of those. And I don't think he realizes that he was kidnapped and taken. So the trio just try to help him, basically. And the chapter ends with Coach telling them that he is going to protect them, and a man walks in and Coach tries to hit them with his club, basically, and that's where the chapter comes to an end. I love Coach Edge. Like, he just has a really good sense of humor. He's such a good character. I also think he's a very underrated character as well. Like, he brings that comedy element that you see in the first five books. Like, even though there's something serious going on, there's something to laugh about it as well. Whereas I think Coach Hedge really does that in this book. Like, there's something serious. Like, this man has just walked in who could potentially be really dangerous, but Coach Hedge is ready to hit him with his club. Like, I just think it's really funny. And Rick has the best comedic timing that I can ever explain to anyone. Like, it's just amazing and it's so on point and perfect. So, chapter 32 is Jason's point of view again, and it opens up with Piper, Jason, and Leo trying to hold Coach Hedge back because obviously he's on his fight or flight response, and his main response is to fight this man that they haven't seen before. Um, the old man is called Lit, and Piper tells them to lay down their weapons. The older man introduces him his Why can I not talk? The old man introduces himself as King Midas. Do you guys know much about Greek mythology? King Midas is a very, very important name. I think he was also in the first five books as well. So yeah, pay attention to that name. It's very important. Um, Jason tells the coach to wait outside so that they can handle the situation peacefully. Honestly, I think that that's the best way. I know Coach Edge can't help himself and he will want to help, but sometimes the violent approach isn't the right approach. So I'm glad that he went and he made Coach stand outside. The king reveals that he makes gold, and he asks for Piper's backpack, and he turns it into gold, and he says that he could put the storm spirits in it, and so they do, which is quite impressive actually. He like puts the wind spirits in the backpack. That's pretty cool, actually. I think that's cool anyway. I'm just weird, though. Don't take my word for it. I'm just weird. He the king says that he is helping the giants and he's tried something on the hunters of Artemis who were looking for a missing demigod. Hunters of Artemis, guys! Anybody know who is coming? I remember reading that. I getting so excited. I was like, oh my god, it's my girl. Like, anybody want to guess who it is? Because if you don't know, you're missing out. Like, you're actually missing out. I'm so excited. I could not wait to talk about this. And they say that they are looking for a missing demigod. Now, who is the missing demigod, guys? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It's a little, really, actually, it's not a little hint. It's a really, really big hint as to what's going to happen next. Um, Midas turns Piper into a statue and Leo. In other words, he was dangerous from the beginning. Man, Jason really should have just let Coach Hedge whack him with a club. Like, genuinely, I'm starting to think that that would have been a better idea at this point. Jason calls Coach to help, but he doesn't come, and he chooses to fight Lit. Jason knocks Lit over, but Midas tries to help him and he turns him into a statue. Jason manages to pin Midas down to the ground, and Coach walks in. Oh, fantastic timing! Not when Jason called him or anything; he just turned up whenever he wanted to. Um, Jason tells him to grab Leo so that he can get Piper, and they leave, and that's where the chapter ends. So yeah, a lot sort of went on in that chapters. There were so many hidden like hints and stuff in those chapters as well. So you really, really had to pay attention. But yeah, your girl's always listening and always observing. So I'm just making it easier for you guys. Okay, so the second to last chapter that we're going to be talking about is chapter 33, which is Piper's point of view. And it opens up with Piper waking up, and Leo has changed back as well. So they've come out of their statue form, thankfully. Jason reveals that they are now in Pike Peaks, which is Colorado. So yeah, they've traveled quite far, let's say. Leo tells them about his dream of Hephaestus, obviously. Like, I think Leo really needs like a shoulder to not cry on at the minute, but so just someone to talk to at the minute. And I think that it's so nice that he has that comfort with Piper and Jason. Like he feels like he has people to go to. Like even though he's not talking about the thing that's really bothering him, which is of course Festus dying. Like he's sort of opening up to them about something else, which is like a step. It's a step process really, and I'm glad that he feels comfortable enough to do that. Jason thinks that all the gods are being influenced because it's not possible that the most powerful beings in the universe don't want to step in to help the world, knowing fully well that there's another war coming. I mean, to be honest, they didn't really step in till the last minute in the last war against Kronos' army either. So I suppose the fact that this is going to be fight against the giants and like I just don't imagine that going very well. But let's just hope they step up. We'll get to that. We'll get there towards the end of this series. We'll work out whether they step up or not. And also, another interesting thing that was revealed in the chapter is that Coach Hedge is actually 106. So, I don't know if you guys remember, but in the Lightning Thief book, like Grover does this massive reveal where he's actually says that he's actually 24, and that's because obviously satyrs age faster than normal human beings. Like they're around a lot longer than demigods. Piper is still feeling guilty about lying to the boys about her dad. So eventually she just tells them the whole situation. And I'm so glad that she does because like I said, like I feel like she was just carrying a lot of this unnecessary weight around with her. And I understand why she did it, like protecting people. Sometimes knowledge isn't everything. Like sometimes it's best for people to not know things. But I'm glad that she feels ready to tell them and that she trusts them enough to tell them. Coach Hedge tells Piper that she will have to be there will sorry, let me rephrase that. There will come a choice that she will make between saving her dad or saving Hera. And I'll be honest with you guys, I know what I would choose in that situation, no matter how rubbish my mortal dad might have been. Like, I would not be choosing a goddess over them, but I guess that's Piper's decision to make, and we will see when the time comes whether she makes the right choice or not. And the chapter ends with them talking about Mount or Othyrus? 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 It's spelled Othyrs. So if anybody knows how to say that properly, please let me know. And they hear howls in the distance. Ooh, guys. big hint again. Like, you know what? It's only now that I'm going back and looking over these notes that I realize how many hints are actually dropped. Like, it's quite blatantly obvious to be fair, but okay. Um, Chapter 34 again is Piper's point of view, and it opens up with Piper realizing that they are surrounded by a pack of wolves. Um, Jason randomly starts talking in Latin, but more wolves appear. Right, wolves. Very, very important detail about Jason's past here. Have you not worked it out? If you haven't worked it out, um, keep listening. You'll hear some interesting things coming out of that. Um, the wolf man says that he has heard about them, and he introduces himself as Lycan, king of the wolves. Um, is it Lycan or is it Lycaean? I don't know. I think it's Lycan. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Guys, help me out here. Am I wrong? I don't know. Lycan reveals that a woman wants to kill Jason. Of course, there's always someone that wants to kill a demigod, isn't there? Like that's not even surprising anymore. Um, Leo manages to distract the pack, and then silver arrows come flying out of nowhere. Does anybody know who is there? Please, someone, a fellow book fan, please tell me you know who I'm talking about because as soon as the silver arrows came, I was like, that's it, I know who's come to the rescue. Um, one hits Lyson in the shoulder and he runs away. Or is it Lyson or Lycan? I don't know, however you say it. And Piper realizes that the arrow was from Thalia, and Jason tells her that he is her brother. Yes, my girl Thalia. Do you know what? I had hope, like when I started reading the series, that she would make like a little cameo or something because I just love her so much, and she's not as like she's present in the first five books, but not as much as I would like her to be. So I'm so happy that she's made an appearance in Heroes of Olympus as well. The last chapter we're going to be talking about is chapter 35, and it's Leo's point of view. And the chapter opens up with him having a little bit of a crush on Thalia. Let's be honest, we all have crushes on Thalia. She is amazing. She's a huntress and she's brave and she's stunning and she's a girl crush, basically. I love her, so I'm not really surprised that Leo has a bit of a thing for her. Thalia hugs Jason and she tells him that she's happy to see him and that she thought he was dead. Again, guys, we'll talk more about that story a little bit later on. I can't pull that thread right now, but we will get there, I promise. Um, Thalia tells Leo and Coach Hedge to take Piper to Phoebe. So Phoebe is one of the other huntresses that we've met before. I think it's in Titan's Curse that we met her, but I can't remember, so don't take my word for that. Jason stops Leo from leaving, and they tell Thalia about Hera. Basically, explain to her this whole quest that they have to go on to save her. Thalia tells Jason that their mother was a TV actress and how Zeus had abandoned them. Um, yeah, they have a really sad story again, and like all of these characters come from such sad backgrounds, but it is so nice to see that they become so much more than that. And again, like we'll talk about Jason's mother a little bit, Jason and Thalia's mother a little bit later on because she makes a little bit of a appearance. There is a lot of threads I can't pull right now because that's spoilers for future books, but just stay with me on this journey, guys, and you'll see what I mean. Um, their mother claimed that Jason was dead because of Hera, and that's why Thalia left. Now, I can see why Thalia doesn't want to help. Like, the whole reason her and Jason got split up is because of Hera, so I can see why she doesn't want to save her. I also wouldn't want to save her. But yeah, my side is completely irrelevant, but okay. Leo tells Thalia about Jason's Roman side, which is quite obvious that he's definitely not from Camp Half-Blood and he is from somewhere else. Hint, hint. We will get there a little bit later on. And the chapter ends with Thalia telling them that she will take them to Aeolus' palace. And that's all we're going to be talking about in this episode. So let's round up this episode with my final thoughts and feelings. Obviously, my poor Leo had such horrible few chapters with Festus dying, and I honestly felt so bad reading them, and I can see how much it's really affected him. So I'm hoping the next few chapters, when we read them together, are a little bit of a pickup, but we will find out soon enough. I love Coach Hedge. I love that he instantly lifted his club up to protect people. I just adore that about his character. He's such a great character, and I just think satyrs in general are just so funny, and I just love him for that. I'm glad that Piper actually finally came clean and told the boys about what was on her chest, really. Like, she really needed, I think they all need a shoulder to rely on, and they all need each other at this point. So I'm glad that there's no secrets, I don't think, left between them anymore, which I love. And my girl Thalia, she came back, and I was so happy. I genuinely really missed her, and I love her character so much, and I'm so happy that Rick put her in this book. Um, yeah, so that's where we're gonna round it up. Next episodes we're gonna be chatting through chapters 36 to 42. I think they only have two more parts left of this book from what I can remember together. I'm pretty sure it's only two. Oh no. Oh yeah. Yes, there is only two parts left, and then we are gonna move on, but we will talk more about that when the time comes. So thank you guys so much for listening in. I really appreciate it. Don't forget, all episodes of the podcast are available to stream now on Spotify and on my YouTube channel. Thank you for being so patient with me. I know I haven't been uploading as much so far this month. I promise to make up for it. I have a week off from uni now, so you might get a couple of surprise uploads here and there depending on how busy I am in this week. But I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Thank you guys so much for being so patient with me. And anybody who reached out to ask me if I was all right when they found out about the funeral, I really appreciate it. Um, yeah, I hope you guys have had a great week, and I will be speaking to you very soon. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Threads to be the first to know when a new video goes up or when I announce something. Highly recommend you guys following me on there. It's the best way to get into contact with me if you have any questions as well. Feel free to DM me, email me. Everything is at Aamsuntitledpodcast. And I'll speak to you very soon. Mwah! Bye!